it's indeed our pleasure to have Craig with us. He's our esteemed speaker for GTR 2020. It's our fifth edition of this wonderful global conference. Craig has around 20 years of experience in the QA industry, and I guess he has tested a lot of variety of software, including container ship loading, planning, logistics, video games, 3D modeling, and animation. And currently, he is web-based testing, web-based diagramming, and desktop publishing. So, Craig, our audience who are based out of India, and you are right now in Utah, Salt Lake City, I guess.
That's correct.
They are really excited to see you and would like to know a little bit more about you. Probably if you can talk a little bit, and then also your topic that is so interesting. I really wish that you can introduce that to the audience as well.
Sure. So, like you said, I've done testing for about 20 years now, and it's been quite the wild ride. One of those things where, like many other testers, I kind of fell into it almost by accident. But as soon as I started doing testing, realized like, oh man, this is my favorite thing in the world. Like really just the fun of digging into the software and trying to figure out what's going on. So stuck with it for quite a long time, save for that little stint in video games, which I can't honestly recommend. But anyway, so the topic I wanted to talk with people about is what I call taking charge of testing. And I say that because I think we work in an industry that's pretty fractured. We've got people coming from all sides telling us what we should do. And a lot of times those people that tell us what to do are not testers. They don't have the testing mindset. They maybe just read somewhere that you're supposed to do a certain thing. And so then they hire testers and tell them to do what they read. And as testers, we need to trust but verify always, right? And so that should include what we do in the day-to-day. So in this particular talk, I take a bit of my personal experience and relate that to ways in which you should take charge of your testing. Some things I did wrong in that particular instance, and how I could have done better, and just kind of challenge people to step up and just own it and stop letting people dictate to us what the right thing is. I know that's hard sometimes, but I think we really have to start pushing for better control over what we do.
Yeah, no, excellent. I think that's a wonderful topic, taking charge of testing, and I can see the passion that you have for testing, and I am sure that the testing community would be all excited to hear. With so many people really don't know about doing testing, and they are the ones who dictate things. It would be very interesting to hear how do we take charge of testing. On a different note, I see that you've written that you can drink really hot tea. So,
Yeah.
what made you write that? What exactly have you come across to mention that in your small little?
So profile? I don't know what it is, but for the longest time, I was drinking hot chai lattes on a daily basis. And for me, if it's not on the verge of boiling, it's not hot to me. I don't know what it's like my superpower, I guess. It's dumb, but like it's all I got, right? So
it's all you got.
Yeah, the number of times I've told baristas, and I want it, at like 190 degrees, and they look at me and like, okay, and then they'd make it, but when they would hand it to me, I'd go to drink it, and they'd be like, oh no, it's too hot, you can't drink it. I'm like, well, no, I mean, I want it this hot, and I'll take a sip, and they're like, oh my God, don't sue us, and I'm like, no, this is what I wanted. And they're like, well, I thought you just wanted it extra hot because you were going to drive somewhere and drink it later, and you still want it. I'm like, no, I literally want it this hot right now. So yeah, so that's why I say that.
No, I think you should. Have you been to India before? Because I think a lot of people bring that kind of. Okay, we should definitely invite you next time.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of chai lattes around, and obviously people really love the way that you drink. And the real taste of chai or tea is actually drinking that hot. So I'm making a statement. I do love it like that. Now, by the way, I have moved to black coffee and coffee a little bit, but I had been a big connoisseur of tea,
Yeah.
all kind of different teas, and also that would be amazing. So
Yeah.
another thing that we would like to ask you, especially with reference to what you have mentioned, is that you write fiction.
Yes.
So
Well,
any specific publication that we can actually, or any other thing that we can read here?
uh, only if I post it. So I've written. So it's actually currently November, which is called National Novel Writing Month, and so
Uh-huh.
it's this thing where you try to write a 50,000 word novel in 30 days. Uh, I've done it 4 times, and I've gotten my 50,000 plus words 4 times, which is really
Wow.
exciting.
Wow.
Each time I've written has been a different genre. I've done a fantasy book, I've done a sci-fi book, I've done modern mythical, weird, the true story of unicorns and rainbows,
Wow.
uh, and then I've done a cyberpunk novel. So, they're because they're around 52 to 56,000 words. Typically, they're a little contrived. Like they need to be fleshed out more. But uh, that's that fleshed out more is the part where I struggle the most. I don't know what
Correct.
it is, but I
Yeah.
can sit down and write 50,000 word story in 30 days. I cannot for the life of me do a second draft of something I've already written. I just
Oh,
don't know what it is, but
great.
that's where
I
I'm
think
at.
that is amazing. So, is there a blog, or do once it basically
Uh,
goes out, we don't get access to it? How can we get access to those three four publications that you would have
I
put
I'd have
together?
to I'd have to email
Okay.
PDFs, which I mean I can do. It's not like I'm doing anything else with it.
Please do. We would put it on your speaker profile and let people also read some of those fiction. It is interesting, by the way. We really loved. We would really love to have you in India, but it is such a bad thing that we are doing this virtual
Uh,
conference. Even though, and obviously,
yeah.
the more people know about you, that would be interesting for us. On a side note, since we talked about chai and tea, is there a specific food items that you love, and are you a foodie by any chance?
I wouldn't say I'm a foodie. Like the idea of taking pictures of my food is like, why I don't get it. I think I've done it maybe 5 times in my life,
Uh-huh.
but um, I do actually really like Indian food. It's probably one of my favorites. It's one of the few things where I feel like um, in terms of when you go out to a restaurant and you're like, what do I want to order from this menu? I feel like often with an Indian restaurant, I want to order everything.
Wow.
Um, Whereas, like I also love Korean food, but I know there are only certain things on a menu from Korean food that is safe for me because I'm not a big fan of seafood. So
Uh-huh.
I know there's going to be a lot of things there that I'm just going to not want. But I
Right.
like really spicy food and I like really hot tea. And those two things are in abundance, as I understand it, in India. And also recently, thanks to COVID, I took up watching cricket. So that's uh,
Wow.
that's another a great
So
pastime I know
you
in
are an
India.
Indian, Craig. I think people are. You love chai, you love spicy food, and also
Yeah,
love cricket. I think those
yeah,
are the three attributes to actually be called an Indian.
qualified.
Yeah, so verified. I think we as a tester we say this is tested okay. Craig is an Indian.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
All right. So on a different note, Craig, people would like to know, like you have been in the industry for so long.
Mm.
What keeps you going? What inspires you? What kicks you doing things what you love, and how you keep on doing it on a regular basis?
So I think that people that are really like strong testers, like QA is something that's in every part of your life. You go to the checkout line at the grocery and you're organizing and straightening things, because it drives you nuts that it's out of order or misaligned. Um, Little things like that. And so that drive to try to make things better has always kept me coming back because it's the thing I feel the most satisfied with, um, in my professional career.
Yeah.
And since starting at Lucid where I am now, like I've really been given the opportunity to build a QA team the way I think it should be done, to manage it the way I think it should be done, to test the product the way I think. And it's just such a unique and amazing opportunity that I keep wanting to push and see, like how much better can we make this for the team. I'm really excited right now because we're in the process of redesigning all of our performance review forms for everybody on the team. And
Wow,
I'm pretty excited that it's review forms written for testers by testers. And
amazing.
that's pretty cool. I've never
Yeah,
ever in my career
yeah,
had a performance review for QA that was written by somebody that had ever done QA in their life. It was always a
yeah,
engineer's form rewritten
yeah.
for a tester, right? And so for me to be like, all right, me and my team, we sat down and we kind of like hammered out what are these elements that we want to use to judge our performance, and that's really exciting.
Very nice. So, can I ask you, like, what would be one single attribute that would basically qualify a tester to be on a higher performance versus basically a lower? One basic important attribute.
Wow, man.
Ability to find defects, maybe that is,
Well,
or
I think it's more broad than that. It's the
yeah,
curiosity.
curiosity. I agree, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, curiosity is just so instrumental in really being good at it, because curiosity implies a lot of other things too.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think if you've got the right amount of curiosity, you'll do well.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Actually, I completely agree. I think that is what separates a developer versus tester, and I
Yeah.
completely concur that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need independence for doing that, because the moment you start taking orders, it
Yeah.
actually kills curiosity.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Oh, 100%. That's
yeah,
I'm so glad you said that, because I often am known as the person that hates documentation, um,
yeah,
because I really do. And I always say that, I never do, we don't do like traditional test cases and test plans. I have my team do what I call testing prompts, which is just like very high level reminder of the things that you need to look at, because the value there is that everybody will see those prompts. They'll think about approaching that test in a different way. The more people that do it over time, the better your coverage over time. um, and I always tell my team, like, checklists kill creativity. As soon as you see a checklist, your creativity shuts off, your brain shuts off, and all you're doing is checking boxes,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's
Very,
it. Like, you're not testing anymore.
very true, very true, very true. Very nice. So I think great stuff. Just one maybe last question with reference to the COVID situation. A lot of Indian offices and Indian IT organizations
Hmm.
now are getting used to this new norm of getting people to work from home.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion about basically this kind of a work environment? Does it basically kill the camaraderie, the collaboration, or is it still happening? And do you think it is a long-term view
Yeah.
that?
So I mean, I've done QA as a remote contractor in the past, so I always knew that doing QA remotely is doable. And in fact, for years now, I've been totally fine with members of the team that were like, hey, I've got to wait at home for a repairman. So is it cool if I work from home? Yeah, fine. We've done this off and on for like a day or two at a time for years now. So when COVID hit and it was like, oh, okay, we're all going to be working from home all the time, I was like, I'm not really worried about it, because I know we can do this job remotely. Yes, it is a little more difficult for sure when you can't just walk up to your developer and talk to them, right? That is certainly way more convenient. Um, but it's definitely completely doable. I think for everybody's sanity, we'd love to be able
Yeah.
to get a chance to go back into the office at least part time here and there. And I
Yes.
know that currently that's the plan for us at some point in the future, is to work some days from the office and some days from home.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be a good mixture. And
Very
honestly,
true.
I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't a pretty good, improvement for productivity overall.
Yeah, sure. And maybe if you allow me, maybe one last question. I think we are
Yeah.
already 15 minutes around. With so much technology changes happening, do you think that a tester basically is affected by all these things going around? What is your opinion around that?
As long as there's technology, you need testers. And I I sometimes wonder if we won't be able to develop AI that can write code before we can develop AI that tests code.
Correct. Yeah.
Um, it just we're constantly pushing the borders of what technology can do, and you always need somebody to make sure that that's going to be a good experience and that it's doing what you need it to do, and that you know and plus, like, it's a fun thing to do. Technology makes life interesting. It makes life fun. I mean, we have to we have to be careful that we don't get too lost into it. But technology is a lot of fun, and I think as as testers, we shouldn't worry. We're always going to be needed.
Yeah, yeah, very true. Craig, all right. We really love this conversation. Maybe we can have more, and we're looking forward for your
Yeah.
wonderful session. Thank you so much.